Shirdi Sai Baba was probably the most unique phenomenon as far as the pantheon of Indian saints is concerned. One big reason was because he was revered by both Hindus and Muslims. Nobody knew whether he was a Hindu or Muslim, and the foundation of his teaching was that, because he would keep saying Sabka Malik Ek, which means everyone's God is one. Of course, he didn't mean that there's one form which is everyone's God. He meant that everyone's God is the one consciousness. And if you read the Sai Satcharitra, it is peppered throughout that with his teachings of Jnana Yoga. Of course, Sai Baba was more known for the miracles that he performed, and the masses which went to him for that. And I remember reading in the Sai Satcharita where he says something to the effect of, I give people what they want so that they eventually want what I want to give them. So clearly he was talking of self-realization. We were working on a book of Nisargadatta Maharaj, his talks, and in that, when I read Maharaj saying that Shirdi Sai Baba was immersed in the Absolute, it became clear to me that there is so much more to Baba's teachings than the miracles which people write about and talk about all the time. And perhaps they should get exposed, they would get exposed in the years and the time to come. I remember reading that there was an incident where somebody saw Sai Baba take his hands and limbs and put them into the fire. And when I read this, I was very young. It used to come in these comic books like Amar Chitra Katha and a lot of stories of Baba, and they seemed so unreal. How can someone remove their arms and legs, throw them into the fire, and then they regenerate? Till I read much later that this is actually an Aghori Sadhna. It is a practice of the Aghoris. It sounds morbid, it sounds brutal, but this was one of the tests which the Aghoris gave themselves to see the level of disidentification with the body. You see, so then when I thought of the story of someone seeing Shirdi Sai Baba and cutting off his limbs, putting them into the fire, I realized that any story which is connected to Shirdi Sai Baba, there's such a deeper meaning, and there are phenomena which seem so unreal, so surreal, but yet this master was working on a very different dimension, which is perhaps not easy for us to comprehend. One particular story which appealed to me was, which again I read in the Sai Satcharita, about a band of gypsies who had a tiger which was old and ailing, and it was no longer remunerative to this band of gypsies because they would show the tiger all around in their shows and make money. So they brought the tiger to Shirdi Sai Baba, got him out of his cage and presented him to Sai and said, please help him because he's our bread and butter and he's sick. And then the story goes that the tiger looked at Sai Baba, thumped his tail 3 times on the ground and collapsed and died. So at first the gypsies were very upset that their only means of livelihood has gone. I mean, this is not what they expected. By bringing him to Sai Baba, they thought that, he'd become okay. But then they realized that what greater gift could they have been given, the tiger have been given. What could be greater than passing away at Baba's feet? So clearly the karma was over between the tiger and them. And so they, with folded hands, thanked Sai Baba and went their way. So these stories are really magical in their own way, and something is to be derived from various aspects of such stories. But I think Shirdi Sai Baba is clearly always pointing to the one reality, the all-pervading reality. And I have read passages which I can give some examples of, which truly reflect that teaching. In this passage, Baba clearly says, barring your name and form, there exists in you as well as in all beings a sense of being or consciousness of existence. That is myself. Knowing this, you see me inside yourself as well as in all beings. If you practice this, you will realize all pervasiveness and thus attain oneness with me. I read an interesting anecdote in By Day with Bhagwan, which is referring to Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi, pertaining to Shirdi Sai Baba. So someone came up to Ramana and he was reading a book which was called Glimpses of Shirdi Sai Baba. And this anecdote says that as Bhagwan was reading the introduction, which was by one Justice Iyer, Dr. Syed, who was in the hall, said he had read the book and it contained nothing new. He also said that Mr. Iyer, when questioned on the subject, could not say whether Sai Baba taught self-realization to anybody. Almost immediately, as if to contradict Dr. Syed, Bhagwan read out from the introduction to the book a sentence which says that Sai Baba not only granted boons for material relief to his devotees, but also gave them a push towards their ultimate goal of self-realization. Meditate always on my formless nature, which is knowledge incarnate, consciousness and bliss. So clearly, this is the purest teaching of Advaita which Shirdi Sai Baba is expounding.